if someone just lives on 80% of the money that's coming in, they set 10% aside for when things go wrong, the car breaks down, they need registration expenses, back to school clothing for the kids, whatever. I've found for hundreds and hundreds of people, it's an average of 10%. Sometimes it's 15. And the 10% they keep for the rest of their life. It comes from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon from 100 years ago. That formula, 80, 10, 10, will help anyone handle money powerfully.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Rennie Gabriel is the author of the best-selling book, Wealth on Any Income. It's been translated into 8 languages. Just as a fun fact, he failed high school math, was broke at age 50, and is a multimillionaire by the age of 58. Rennie, I am looking forward to jumping into today's episode and learning about you and your story. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. My pleasure to be here.
Pleasure's mine. 3 questions I ask every guest who comes to the show in 90 seconds or less. Where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
Where I started, I've always been an entrepreneur. And I guess I could say in terms of real estate, started pretty much at 50. After 2 divorces and a business failure, that's the reason I was broke. And where am I now? Don't have to work for a living because of the rental income from the properties we have.
That is fascinating. I'm looking forward to this. Always been an entrepreneur. You said 2 divorces and a business failure. Can you tell us what were some lessons you learned in that business failure?
Biggest lesson is that when I have partners, I have success. And when I do things on my own, it's mediocre or a failure.
Okay. Break that down for us. Because one of the things that we talked about here off air was that building wealth is a team sport. So can you talk to us about that?
Absolutely. So I had a pension administration company in the 1980s. I had 2 partners. We sold it off to a public company. I had a lot of money at the time, and that was the first time I could choose to work or choose not to work. Then I got divorced. So I kind of ate that up. I had an art gallery business that failed, and I was the solo person involved in that art gallery business. In the real estate business, when I started at age 50, I had my wife as a partner and a realtor, and the 3 of us worked together. And what I recognized, at age 50 and looking backwards, the successes were when I had partners and didn't do it alone, and the failures were when I tried to do things by myself. And then I decided to be an angel investor and really saw the value of partnership from this standpoint. Sam, you know who Warren Buffett is, right?
I've heard the name.
Yeah. And probably you also know who Charlie Munger is, do you?
I've heard the name.
Okay. But most people, when I ask that question, they don't know who Charlie Munger is, but he's half of Berkshire Hathaway.
Right.
And you go Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, you go to Elon Musk. Elon admits he knows nothing about building cars or rocket ships, but he has execution masters. Elon is a visionary. Warren Buffett's a visionary. Steve Jobs is a visionary. And what they have in their business organizations are people who can execute on those visions. In the real estate business, we had a realtor who was a visionary, and I was the execution master. I had taken a class at UCLA on, how to manage apartment buildings 14 years earlier. So I took care of the tenants. I met the plumber at the job site, or I met the painter at the job site, and he found the properties. We bought the properties, but I executed on keeping tenants happy, re-renting, showing units.
Now, is that what you guys did? You went into the multifamily space, and that was what really set you up to financial independence?
Yes. As a matter of fact, when I met my wife, she and this realtor had 3 rental houses. And I said, well, I actually have a bias against rental houses. I think we should buy multi-units. And now, again, I was broke at 50, but right. What I did was I took a principal that's 5,000 years old, and I paid myself first. And I was making $5,000 a month. I set aside $500 a month. And in 3 years, I saved up a whopping $18,000.
Right.
And that's what was used to be a partner in the first property we bought, which was a triplex.
Got it. Oh, that's wow. That's a long, I mean, saving $500 a month for 3 years in order to accrue 18,000 in investable capital that's a lot of planning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was looking at the future from the standpoint of, oh my gosh, I'm flat broke. Like I said, 2 divorces and a business failure. At age 65, 15 years from then, am I going to be eating cat food or am I going to be eating tuna? And it was out of that desperation. I said, I've got to make this work. And this principle has worked for 5,000 years. It's going to work when you and I are dust. I got to get serious.
Right. No, I like that. You know that they do put tuna in cat food, so you could have it both ways. You go to the right food shop or pet shop.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's the quality tuna.
Just want to throw that out there that maybe that you might have a dietary meet in the middle if you really wanted to. That's really, really cool. When I guess at what point in time did you really start to see success though? I mean, $18,000, 3 years in, you get your first triplex. When did you finally know, man, we're on to pay dirt and I've got the traction going that I've been working so hard for?
I'd say in another couple of years, what I could see is this property was increasing in value because we were able to remodel it. Now I put physical labor into it. We'd re-rented it. We increased the rents. And with multi-unit properties, the value is a multiplier of the gross rents.
Right.
Really simple. And so I could see, my gosh, this is working. I borrowed money to make down payments with my wife and the realtor. And we went from that first 3-unit purchase. Within 5 years, we added another 47 units.
Right. Yeah. And that was enough to really set you up for success. Is that what your book is about? Wealth on Any Income? Can you give us kind of the backstory on the book and the principles that we may learn in that?
The backstory on the book has nothing to do with how I made all this money in real estate. It's the foundational concepts of handling money powerfully. The first third of the book deals with the emotional stuff that's in the way of people actually taking action. And okay, Sam, let me ask you a question. Let me put you on the spot here.
Sure.
Do you know anyone who is obese?
Yep.
Okay. Let me ask you, do you know what the 2 primary things are for someone to lose weight?
Well, 80% of 80% of it is diet, 20% of it's exercise.
Okay, fine. So if they move and they change their eating, they can lose weight.
For sure.
Do you think there's an obese person who doesn't know that?
Nope. I think people maybe don't. I think people get it flip-flopped. I think it's 80% exercise, 20% diet. But outside of that, no. Yeah.
Okay.
They know the 2 ingredients. They just may have the mixtures wrong.
Yeah. So they know the 2 ingredients, and the knowledge is the booby prize.
Right.
Because there's emotional stuff that's in the way of them taking any action, whether it's reducing what they eat or moving.
Right.
And so the first third of the book has to deal with getting that emotional stuff out of the way, dealing with the messages someone may have been taught as a child, determining what they want out of life and that they can have it. And then the latter 2/3 are the tips and techniques of handling money powerfully. Now, we talked about my being broke. I was also certified as a financial planner, okay, but did not know the basic foundations of handling money, how to do an income and expense report, what to look for on a balance sheet for personal wealth. I was taught how to help other people maintain or enhance their wealth,
right,
but not how to create it personally, not how to do the day-to-day items regarding money. And that's what I discovered, and that's what I have in the book. Because, you probably have people in your sphere that make a lot of money and burn right through it.
Yep.
And I was the same way. I thought if I just made more money, things would work out. And up until 50, I would make more and more money and have nothing to show for it.
Wow.
It's because I lacked the foundation. I mean, I literally went from $6,500 a month as a school, $6,500 a year as a school teacher to $102,000 in sales per year. And I went from $100 a month short as a school teacher to $2,000 a month short, earning over 100 grand.
Right. So you were it didn't matter how much money you make, you were still losing money on a month over month basis.
Exactly. And so I had to turn that around. Again, that's a part of the process at age 50, paying myself first, making sure that how much money came in, we were able to set aside reserves. I took care of the financials because I finally learned what to do.
Right.
And that's why 8 years later, I could choose to work or choose not to work.
I love that. Wealth on Any Income is the name of the book. If we want to get in touch with you, or not get in touch with you, but if we want to actually find that book, where can we buy that?
The best place is my website, wealthonanyincome.com, because that way I can donate 100% of the price of the book to charity. If they get it from Amazon, I get like $1, big deal.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a cool point to make, is that because you don't need the proceeds from these book sales, you're able to donate 100% of that profit to animals and what did you say? Animals and veterans.
And veteran charities, correct.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. That is really cool. What's a challenge? I guess, since you've been able to achieve financial independence, but what's a challenge you find right now that you're trying to overcome?
Being able to let go. My kids are talking about, hey, Dad, when you pass away, we don't want these properties. We're not going to take care of these properties. And you ought to have a management company in place because, you're going to get old, you're going to die, and what's going to happen? And so I started interviewing management companies. And the difficulty is I've run the properties, I've managed the properties, taken care of the tenants through this entire pandemic. 100% of my tenants have paid 100% of their rent, and only one of them needed assistance from the government program.
Wow.
I don't know of a management company. I don't know of another landlord that can talk about that. And when I started interviewing management companies, my assistant said, Rennie, I've been looking for an apartment. And one of the companies you interviewed had 8 properties I had applied for or gone to see, and they don't get back to me. Right. I mean, the person who showed me the property said, if I want to turn in an application, I got to call the management company. I call the management company. It's 2 days later before they even get back to me.
Jeez.
So guess what? It all looked good when I interviewed them, but with the experience of my own assistant, I could see they can't do the kind of job I can do. So what's going to happen is I'm going to tell the kids, when I drop dead, sell the properties. You got to step up in basis, have a good time.
Right. Yeah. Looks like you guys have to find a good realtor and call it a day.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I guess out in the spirit of that question, are you still acquiring assets, or is what you have right now the bread basket that you say, hey, this is what I've got for the duration, and I'm done? Where are you in your
Yeah, I'm done. I've got enough. We've got more money coming in than we need to live on. We're able to set a lot of money aside anyway, so that, I have enough. I'm done. Talk
to us about that, because for most people, there is never enough. How did you figure that out?
Well, I talked about having been broke. If I look back at my situation where at one point I had to actually collect soda bottles and cans to get the refund money to buy food for my family, when I look at the tens of thousands of dollars a month of income now, and I'm living on maybe 40, 50% of that, I've got enough. If I can continue to donate to charity, the thousands of dollars that we donate, I mean, granted, it could be more, but it's enough.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've achieved financial and time independence, and your main motivation is that you want to devote or donate to charity and to put it where you want to put it.
That's it. It's the more money I can donate to charity, the happier I am.
You do talk to a lot of people, I'm sure, because of the book, about finances. What are some of the repetitive conversations you feel like that you have that you just go, this is something I think everybody needs to hear, maybe save you the time of having that conversation all over again?
It would be a real simple such a simple formula. if someone just lives on 80% of the money that's coming in, they set 10% aside for when things go wrong, the car breaks down, they need registration expenses, back to school clothing for the kids, whatever. I've found for hundreds and hundreds of people, it's an average of 10%. Sometimes it's 15. And the 10% they keep for the rest of their life. It comes from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon from 100 years ago.
Right.
That formula, 80, 10, 10, will help anyone handle money powerfully.
Yeah, and I like that book. That's a good and very wise and easy, certain read. Are there any other resources you would direct our listeners to? I mean, because this is a topic that people talk about a lot. They go, it's at the front of most people's minds. Are there other resources you direct people to that you feel like would be of value to them?
Yeah, actually, I've got a 9-step roadmap on my website, and they can hear my TED Talk as well. And this 9-step roadmap comes with 27 pages of explanation on how I went step by step from broke to philanthropic.
That's cool. Awesome. And we can find that there on your website, wealthonanyincome.com.
Correct. And then just put /TEDx, and they'll see the roadmap and can hear the TED Talk.
Man, that's fantastic. Rennie, are there any other closing thoughts you have here for our listeners today as it pertains to how you've achieved financial independence, investing in real estate, living on wealth on any income? Anything else you'd like to share with the listeners before we close out?
Just a reminder that wealth creation is a team sport, not a solo sport.
I love it. Rennie, thank you so much for your time today. Again, we can find you on wealthonanyincome.com. Appreciate you coming on the show today, and look forward to connecting soon.
Thank you, Sam. My pleasure. Thank you so much.